Everybody, I wanted to go ahead and talk to you about, the stages of growth. Take a moment and look at this image when you get a second. But in this video, we're going to dive deep into the principle that it's non-negotiable if you want to win long term. Obviously, frequency, especially in sales, especially on the phones, like it's like when you go to the gym, you don't just get strong from going once. You got to build power through consistent reps. Same with sales. You get better not by having one great call, but by having hundreds of them over and over again. And I walk you through a real call I did, 20 minutes long. You're gonna be able to see the video, you're gonna be able to see the whole thing, and look, it seemed promising, but didn't close. The call ended abruptly, but I didn't just move on. I reviewed it. I saw where I dropped the ball. I took notes on it. I role played it the next day. I followed through with follow up in different ways through Facebook, through Instagram, through email, there's several ways to follow up with the client. Resilience, reflection, stay in the game. Frequency is key. Repetition is going to keep sharpening your skill. Reflection turns mistakes into growth. And to be real with you, there's a whole nother layer. People get distracted by shiny new opportunities. They jump ship on something that they've built just to chase the next big idea. But most of the time, they haven't done the homework. They don't understand the complexity of what they're walking into. And instead of leveling up, they end back up at zero. That is called uninformed optimism. It costs you way more than you think. And that's why focus matters. The ability to lock in on one business, one strategy, one goal, or a set of goals, and to stay there. It's what separates those who grow something substantial from those who stay stuck forever. And commitment's going to beat talent every single time. You don't get it perfect. You just keep showing up. Long hours, consistent effort, no flaking, no bouncing between half-baked opportunities. That's what creates a winning environment, and people listen, sometimes you just need to stay with what you're at. You don't need to do something new all the time. You just got to stay where you're at. Stick and stay is bound to pay. Instead of looking for the next big breakthrough, just get better at doing what you're already doing. Small tweaks to your pitch, your system, your routine, they stack up. Incremental improvements will compound over time. You know, this is how you can scale without chaos, right? And here's the part no one talks about is behavior matters more than feelings. What does he even mean by that? I'll show you more later. You're not always going to feel like dialing, training, finding your game. But if you do it anyway, regardless of how you feel, what's going to be possible? You can win. Discipline means saying no to the good looking distractions so you can say yes to your actual goals. If you're making 200 calls a day, you're chasing 5 hours of talk time, dealing with rejection and pushing through, you're doing the work that 99% of people won't do. This isn't about chasing trends. It's about building a foundation that lasts. It's about showing up, learning from the tough calls, and sharpening your edge, mastering the basics, protect your focus, build your reps, trust the compound effect. And that's how you win in sales. That's how you win in business. Thanks for staying tuned. I'm going to see you back at the next one, okay? Watch the other videos that I have, okay, on my YouTube channel.